Hi, and welcome back, Freedom Warriors. Back to another episode of Essential Talks, where you stay for the conversation, you leave empowered. We had a little bit of a change up with tonight's episode. We were supposed to have Christina from Vetra Wellness come and join us, but she was feeling under the weather. So instead, we have Samantha Flatman, who is coming to join us. So we got a couple of topics that we could talk about. First off, we really want to get into the Freedom Rally that you were at. I believe is in Vancouver, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a huge rally this past weekend for Worldwide Rally Day, Worldwide Rally for Freedom Day. That's a mouthful, hey? Yeah, great turnout, and a little bit of an interesting event. We had two stages rather than just one. There were, probably close to 30 different initiatives, individual initiatives coming together and sharing their message, and so many ways in which we can get involved. Boots on the ground style, which is what we really need today. As many of us have been saying, we can't wait for some mythical being to come in and save us. It's, we really need to do our part to take action and to empower ourselves and to take action in every way we can. We all have the ability to make a difference. We all have traits and skills to offer. And it's all about united non-compliance on a massive level, right? That's the key. So,
yeah, that's
awesome.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it was a great day. It was a really great day. Absolutely, it was encouraging. To see so many people show up, and as always, some new faces. And just that was my main message, was just really encouraging those who haven't gotten involved beyond going to a rally to really connect with others that are there. See what they're doing. How are they taking action? There's so many initiatives, like I said, that were represented on Saturday. And so there's tons of different organizations to get involved with. I was there representing Make Canada Free Again, which is a social change platform that's really dedicated to not only restoring our rights and freedoms, but also preserving them for into the future. Right? We need to really restore and preserve our rights, freedoms, and values as Canadians, much of which we've lost sight of. So yeah, that includes Make Canada Free Again includes We Are All Essential, right? As many of our viewers know now, it's a Canada-wide network, empowerment network for small businesses to empower one another and to stand united in non-compliance with lockdowns and with the passport system and all of these other restrictions. And as well, many of you have probably heard of Hugs Over Masks. That's also part of Make Canada Free Again. And Hugs Over Masks has been really building empowered communities across the country since May of 2020, right? Obviously, at first, very much focused around masks and the harms around masks and on all different levels. So, we're gonna be really for the social change platform, Make Canada Free Again, deploying the same strategies that have worked so well for Hugs Over Masks and for We Are All Essential. It's about bringing people together in the local communities. Right? So we know we're not alone. We help to empower one another through our knowledge and experience, and then take action together. So we're really planning to build that out even more, and bring in some new, very important issues around digital IDs and all that stuff. So anyway, I could go on and on and on, but that's generally speaking what I was speaking to on Saturday, and what I'm dedicated to moving forward as managing director of Make Canada Free Again.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the rally was in Vancouver, 2 stages. That's pretty incredible. The one thing that I am super stoked about is the fact that I know in Vancouver there was a division that happened. And then over this weekend, there was a lot of kind of turmoil that was happening, building up until we got to the weekend, and both groups united again. So we had a big session of unity.
Yeah, I think that we still have a little ways to go. We certainly did our best to bring everyone together. We wanted to create sort of a festival-like atmosphere where some where really everyone could go and enjoy both stages. They could choose which speakers they, wanted to listen to at any given moment. There was plenty of variety. And, it wasn't about, I think there were some misconceptions around what our intentions were. In creating that second stage, we just wanted to provide an opportunity for more groups to be able to represent themselves and to get the word out, because these worldwide rallies are every 2 months, and a lot of new faces come to them, and it's really important that they get to hear about all the different initiatives and all the different ways that they can get involved, as well as the updates. Right, these are really critical times to update the general public, at various stages of awareness on what's happening, what has been happening, and how to get into the solution and get into action. So we didn't set up a second stage in order to overpower their stage. There was no issue with sound. If you were closer to their stage, you could hear them, the speakers over there perfectly without any distortion. And same on the other side. It's actually quite a large plaza, and so it was fantastic. There was there were no issues. Unfortunately, we weren't able to bring both groups together under one stage. We did attempt that at the beginning before everything got kicked off. It's like, how about we just combine the stages, right? One last effort to try to bring everyone together. That didn't quite work, but that's okay. I think it was really important that we do our best to move forward and to have as many initiatives represented at these worldwide rally days. And I think we achieved that. So.
Yeah, and I think by doing that, you're going to create more inclusion, definitely, and it's a step in the right direction. Sorry to cut you off there, Kim. I know you're going to say something, so
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, Samantha, you've been such a big part of this movement from the very beginning, like boots on the ground from the very beginning, going to so many rallies, literally every weekend, I think. What has been the biggest change that you've noticed? Like, have you seen it grow a bit more with Make Canada Free Again as the unity is kind of transpiring? Or what have you noticed the most in changes in regards to all the rallies you've been to? Because you have been to so many.
I have been to a lot of rallies, yes, pretty much every week since I would say September of 2020. My first rally was actually September of 2020, and yeah, I haven't stopped going ever since, and I at least one rally a week, sometimes several. I would say that more so the convoy, the massive trucker convoy was a real impetus for more and more people to come to the rallies. Make Canada Free Again, although it's been the long-term vision, of Vlad Sobolev, founder of WeAreAllEssential and Hugs Over Masks, that those being the two biggest initiatives that we've had the most success with so far. There are a few other initiatives that haven't been fully rolled out yet. However, it's always been his vision. However, in terms of, building that social change platform out and getting the word out, that it's only in the last, I'd say, month or so that I've come back on board to really build out that vision. And so we just created a website last week, which, is going to continue to evolve. But we certainly have the foundation for the website out there, and lots of ideas for how we can really leverage that as a tool for social change. So it's pretty basic for now. However, so yeah, I would say that I have seen an increase in attendance and in the type of attendance. Like I said, more sort of more involvement versus just spectator type style attendance. I have seen that grow in that time, and certainly in the last couple of months, in large part due to the convoy and how that really, I think I think it's impossible for Canadians as a whole to have not heard about that and to have not been curious as to what that's about and possibly looked into it a little bit. So awareness has increased, and I think for a lot of people who maybe weren't attending rallies, perhaps because although they were aware of some of the issues, they weren't necessarily feeling like hopeful that they could do something about it. And I think that convoy, for those that had been attending for a long time and those who hadn't been attending, I think for all of us, to varying degrees, I know for myself, I was reinvigorated. I was re-inspired. I once again had absolute faith that we as the people will overcome, and we will win. Love will win, humanity will prevail. And I think, for me, I have immense gratitude to all of the people who were involved in that convoy. I think that for many of us who have been in the trenches for a while, we needed that boost. And for those that haven't been that involved, I think they were inspired to get involved at last. So we're still, a ways away, but I think that we're heading in the right direction. And unity,
so
right?
good.
Unity.
Yeah.
I think that they really, gosh, who'd have thought, right? But that the blue collar truckers would bring true unity to Canadians once again. Gosh, we've needed that.
It's so good to see and hear that it's growing and it's getting bigger, because I think I was speaking to Jamie about this earlier. It's like, it's bittersweet for me even today to see the provincial restrictions lifted, but knowing the dark shadow that's coming in fall, the federal, everything federal, ID, digital, all that, we all know it's coming, but there's so many people that aren't aware of that, right? There's so many people that think things are going back to normal. So it's great to see that these rallies are making a huge impact in bringing more and more people on board, for sure.
And they're just a starting point. I've always seen rallies as really being, they're essential for bringing people together, but as a point of contact, so that we can build relationships and do the work in between the rallies. That's what's key, and that's what's been missing to some extent for a long time. So that's going back to Make Canada Free again. It's and leveraging the strategies that worked so well with Hugs Over Masks and also with We Are All Essential. It's about, okay, at those rallies, let's really use that to network and to then have smaller regional hubs where people are out especially between the mega rallies. But I mean, we need to have a presence, an ongoing presence, so that we can be that light for those who haven't become aware yet or haven't gotten involved yet. So that's what Vlad and I are going to be rolling out across the country, are these really empowered hubs where people are committed to showing up and to just being almost like an info booth, right? But have it be attractive, have it be a beacon, in busy centers where people can find us, right? And we can help to empower them through education and also through solutions, through how they can take action, and so we're looking to have, at least in the major centers, as soon as possible, really having some key locations where we can have a constant presence, so that those who are looking can find us. And that's another reason why the merchandise, as much as it gets a little bad rep sometimes, it's so important, right? Because if I walk down the street with We Are All Essential on my hoodie, or on the right side of history, or Hugs Over Masks, or there's so many great messages, right? But I don't know. I mean, I would think that, like, for instance, my own story of seeing, when I first came into the movement is seeing Vlad, Marcella, and Yvonne on a street corner outside of a busy mall handing out Hugs Over Masks information cards. It was the first time I saw somebody that sort of thought relatively like me, that had an issue with masks, and I screamed out that car window because I found my people, right? And they gave me that card, and I immediately looked up on the website what they were all about, and I volunteered. That was my starting point. So we need to have that local physical presence, whether it be at an information booth or us just wearing a hoodie or some sort of merchandise that lets people know, if they've been looking for others that don't agree with what's going on. That's they'll know that they can be comfortable coming up to me or you and ask and having a conversation, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah. Definitely. I believe that's really important. And I've been saying for a while too that rallies are the best way to almost like recruit or network or bring in especially new people that are just starting to become aware of what's happening. It's a softer break-in as opposed to, some of the other information out there, and it gets them searching, gets them researching, to really discover what's happening. And I think that's very important, that a lot of people do their own research and they look it up for themselves and they find multiple sources, as opposed to just listening to anyone, because we know how that goes, right? So the whole narrative has been just on that alone. But yeah, so a really good way you could take action right now for everyone that's watching this video is subscribe to our podcast, share this, and like it. So this way we get more exposure. So that's a really good way to start at this moment. And, yeah. So
also, I'd love to say for those that are even catching the replay, but certainly those who are on live, if you'd like to join us for a Zoom call this evening at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST, we're going to have, somewhat of an orientation / strategy and planning Zoom call for those who want to get more involved in boots on the ground type work. If you want to be a part of a local team that's going to have a presence in your community and help to spread awareness and to bring more people together to take the actions, we're very much hosting a Zoom. It'll be less than an hour, and it'll just be a great way to meet other people. I know it'll be on Zoom, but meet other people online first, and then we'll start to meet offline more and more. But yeah, there's some incredible people that we already work with, and our mission is just to recruit as many heart-centered people that want to make a difference to come together and to just take action. And you don't have to have any special skill set. If you can communicate in some way or another, you can be involved, and we'll show you how to go about it as best we can, and we'll learn from you too, right? It's not about a couple of people being leaders and having all the answers. It's about us coming together and really masterminding and moving forward with the best strategy we can. And that's what we've been doing for a long time, right? Like with We Are All Essential. I mean, you two have been such key leaders within the initiative as well. And it's like we're constantly getting feedback and learning from each other and adjusting our strategy slightly. And let's try this, let's try that. I mean, we're just learning and adapting as we go, right? Some of the most important skill sets to have are being adaptable, resourceful, and courageous to take the actions.
And knowing it's such a safe place to go, like not just our meetings and online and our network, but all these protests as well, because as much as they get a bad rap or we hear things in the media that they want to spin it on us, there's never been anything violent, at least that I know of. So it's always a safe place to go. And I think I just want to encourage even business owners to take part a little bit more, because we kind of know where things are heading. And I think more and more businesses still need to stand up. I still think we have a long way to go. There's so many complacent and compliant businesses that are just doing what the government's telling them instead of understanding the law and understanding that we are all sovereign beings and treating people with respect and understanding everybody probably likely has, an exemption of some sort, and you want them in your establishment and in your business. And I think people need to educate them now when we think it's a safe time, when these restrictions are being eased off a little bit. Now's the time to dig and do your research. And we have so many amazing resources on our page to educate yourself, because I know I wasn't educated on anything. And it's just been such an amazing space and safe space for support and networking and getting the resources and knowledge that we all need.
And physical businesses really do have, like, I was talking about those little info booths that we want to put out across it. I mean, that you guys, those with physical businesses can be that beacon, right? With a simple sign on your window, you can help to be that sort of a local beacon for many people. And you're right, Kim, like we need to take this time where people are a little bit more relaxed because the restrictions are relaxed. We need to really seize this opportunity to fully empower as many people as we can moving into the fall, because we've seen the patterns. This is just a temporary loosening, and then they're going to come back even stronger with the restrictions and add some new ones and all that stuff. So it's really important we help people to not only remove the mask, even though the mandates have been dropped. So many people are having a hard time removing the mask. They feel guilty. They don't feel comfortable with their face anymore. I mean, it's crazy. And so helping them to remove the mask, helping them to not put it back on when they're told they have to put it back on, right? And then when it comes to things like a centralized digital currency, right? We need to get ahead of that so that as soon as it's, really introduced, it doesn't stand a chance. And we have the power to not participate, right? But once again, we need the masses. We have all the power when we stand together, and when because their corrupt systems do not work without our participation. So we need to remove ourselves in every way we possibly can from those systems that are not serving the people, and that we do need to help others to, we're farmers, as Vlad says. We plant the seeds, right? We help people to flourish, right? So, yeah.
Yep. And a good way we can slow them down is everyone start using cash again.
Mm-hmm.
That's really going to slow that down if everyone is doing as many purchases as possible with good old-fashioned cash. Then it's really going to make some traction. So if we remember right from the beginning, March 2020, they tried to go cashless at that point, and people weren't having it. I remember when people were coming into my business and they're like, "Do you still accept cash?" And we're like, "Of course we do. We accept all payments, right?" And everyone else was refusing it because they're afraid of catching COVID through it, and all kinds of other ridiculousness. But yeah, that's one way to really slow them down.
Yeah,
definitely.
And something else that we really want to help to build is a more of a freedom economy, right? And so another initiative that it's part of WeAreAllEssential really is helping to rebuild the small business sector, because we lost so many thousands of businesses in the last couple of years. So helping to rebuild the small business sector through some crowdfunding, as well as building up the new, more of a, if somebody has an idea, that's very much freedom focused, that truly is benefiting the people and adding to our communities, then we want to be that incubator, so that if they're missing some skills, we can help to bring people in with the skills. If they're missing some funding, we can bring in the funding. It's like being an incubator for really innovative, forward-thinking businesses that are truly in the best interests of the people. So we're looking to crowdfund both to help some of our network, WeAreAllEssential network, that unfortunately were casualties of this war, and also to crowdfund for new ideas as well. So it's another big focus of ours.
Yeah, Samantha, where would you say, because I know you've been like a rock and heart and soul of WeAreAllEssential from the very beginning. I know you were the first person I spoke to, and most people spoke to, joining. Where would you see or say that we need more help? Obviously, we're looking for volunteers. Where can you, or how can we help get the word out there of where we can help our network right now immediately?
Mm-hmm. We definitely need more people to join us who are willing to do outreach, essentially, whether that's in a set place, in a busy location where we can do that sort of community outreach, or it can be online, it can be by phone. We need, to build our network of businesses that are going to take a stand with us. We're going to help get the word out. Like I said, just being a beacon in your community by putting certain signage on your business. Obviously being a part of WeAreAllEssential network, so that when they try to impose another lockdown, or they try to reimpose the passport system, that we do not participate, right? So we really need people who are willing to do the boots on the ground type work, which is helping to get the word out. both in terms of like education and also in terms of like recruiting, to build out our numbers, because we really do have the power when we have the numbers. But if we don't, then it's a bit of more of an uphill battle than it needs to be. Yeah. So just recruitment on all levels, everyday people on the street that we don't want to, that we need to help them understand why the restrictions are not in their interest, and help them to not participate moving forward. And also building out our network of small businesses, because you guys really have been one of our key front lines to all of this. So it's kind of, really, we haven't changed much. It's the same strategy. It's just, fighting a lot of obstacles to get the word out, especially with, censorship being what it is online. We are shadow banned on Instagram, and I believe on Facebook. So, even the swipe up feature, on our Instagram account for We Are All Essential, we have over 12,000 followers. We should have that swipe up feature, so we can just send people directly to key links, whether it be the Zoom call at 5:00 tonight, or it be, to the website to register, just to make it just as easy as possible for people to get into action. That swipe up feature is no longer available for us. Why is that? So it's an uphill battle, because there are a lot of intentional things in our way that have been put in our way. So that's why we really need the manpower on the ground, in your local community. If you're like, oh, I don't, nobody else, I hear this a lot, like, in small towns, I feel like I'm the only one. Well, you don't know, really. You just don't see that. But if you were the one on the corner putting yourself out there with a simple information card or a banner that, just helps people to see that, that they're not the only one, it builds from there. Right, Jamie? I remember when you were the first one in your community to take a stand, and you didn't know if others would join you. And so many hundreds of others joined in taking a stand, but you had to be that beacon. You had to be that, sometimes we got to be the one, be the change. We got to be the one that takes the lead. And then you realize, oh, wow, there's a lot of other people that think the same way, and they join. Yeah. You've got to be the leader in your community.
Well, look at the trucker convoy, right? So it started out with a small amount of trucks, and then next thing you know, by the time they reach Vaughan Mills here, there was over 10,000 people on the bridge. So they weren't in the convoy. Some of them went to Ottawa, but most of them didn't. How many people couldn't make it to the bridge? So I'm pretty sure when that happened, a lot of people were like, oh my God, there's so many around me now, right? And that's what the whole trucker convoy did, but it didn't do it in one specific area. It did it all across the country, from coast to coast. It showed how many people are actually ready to stand, and a lot of them still don't know what to do. So if you think you're alone, when you throw yourself out there, you're going to be surprised how many people are actually around, and I've always found that anyone that has been willing to throw themselves out on the line there, they've gotten more good feedback than anything else. And they've made some really, really solid friendships. Like a lot of what I've heard is, I've met this person just by doing this, and we've only known each other like a couple of months, but I'm closer to them than I have been to a friend that I've had for 20 years or whatever, right? So you're constantly hearing about how we're coming together, and just that mind frame and the energy that's actually drawing us to each other, and the connections we're making are insane, right? And when I did my thing, it connected me across Canada, which was really bizarre. I found, and so you just don't know. That's my whole point. You just don't know, and until you know, you might regret what you were missing all that time when you find it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember, and also for those that are just starting to speak out or put themselves out there, my experience was that initially I got a lot of pushback, but the more I stayed true to my truth and what I perceived to be the truth, and I was consistently showing up and putting out those messages, people, it's just like the I now no longer get any like not very little pushback.
That's good.
And I think it's sometimes the loudest people are just in the beginning, and if it doesn't scare you off, if you just keep going, you'll find it's easier to speak up. It's just the hardest part is getting started, but I promise you, people really do respect when, like, okay, obviously put out quality stuff and do your research. I'm not just saying, but if you've done your research and you believe it to be true and you put it out there and you stand by it and you continue to, just be consistent in your message, people will come around, and those who hate will fall off to the wayside. But, at the end of the day, I just, for me, I had to make a decision way back when I first got started that, whether I was going to compromise my integrity or not. For me, nothing is more important than my integrity. And I couldn't go along with something that I didn't believe in. And so I started going to rallies, and immediately it was pushed out of one job, and they gave me the ultimatum that I needed to quarantine for 14 days after every rally that I attended. And I was like, well, I go to rallies every week, so that's not going to work. So it's like, okay, I guess I'm leaving that job, right? Like, that was important to me, and I wasn't going to just be quiet because it was, I had to make a sacrifice and get another job, whatever. So I got another job, and I ended up getting fired from that one, but that's okay. Like, we do what we got to do. And as Flat says, there's those who are willing to do what's comfortable. There's those who can do what they can, right? We should all do what we can. And then there are those who will do whatever it takes, and you two and Vlad and many others, Paul I'm just seeing the comments here, one of our most dedicated people in our network, like Stephanie. I mean, there's so many people I can't even start to mention. I shouldn't have even started, but we are willing to do whatever it takes, make those sacrifices, dedicate ourselves. And I had to check myself too, I had to step back temporarily just to recharge, because we can't martyr ourselves either, but do, within reason, do what you can, and ideally do whatever it takes, because we are at war here, and we all have a role that we can play. So show up, like I said, if you are able to show up, whether it's tonight at 5 p.m. EST, 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST, or it's next Monday. We're going to be doing these calls every single Monday, and the website is humanactivist.ca. Apologies, I misquoted when I was doing my speech on Saturday. I said .com. Oops. Anyway, humanactivist.ca. That is going to redirect you to the Zoom link. Please do show up. We would love to meet you, hear what ideas you may have to bring forward, and let's strategize, and let's come up with a plan, and let's build out these empowered local hubs so that we can help to empower others.
Yeah, I think all of us can speak on behalf of many other members too, that speaking up will get you more success. And that's not even what it's about ultimately at the end of the day. We're doing this for such a larger picture, but you're always going to lose a few followers, a few clients, a few this, a few that. But the amount of people that come into your life because of speaking up and speaking your truth and staying truthful to you, for me, it's just like, I can't consciously perpetuate this fear and go on with all this narrative with my clients, because I claim that I like to spread truth and love to people, and there's got to be a point where enough is enough, and you got to speak up, and it becomes easier the more you do it too, for sure.
I couldn't have lived with myself if I didn't at least try to share the information that I knew that was literally, I mean, I have no doubt that I've saved some lives from some of the information I've shared. Same, I'm sure you guys could say the same. Like, we don't know for sure, but man, like, I couldn't live with myself if I hadn't at least tried to share, what I believe, what has been proven to be facts. And we're looking at study data, like actual data from these trials, things like that's one example. People's lives are at risk here, and we are make no mistake, we are very much at war, and it's just a different type of war than we've experienced. This is an information war. It's very much a psychological, spiritual, biological warfare. I mean, there's so many components to it, but this is biological warfare. This is very much a spiritual war, and it's an information war because,
Yeah. So there's a cool thing because like when I remember when I was standing up, I kind of assumed or believed that there were people in the background that were going to support me, and so I was very confident that way, but nerve-wracking at the same time. And so this is going back like a year ago, and I did the whole confrontation. I videotaped it, I put it out online and all that, and then a year later I've won 3 awards that consumers have voted for me. So that's happened all this year. So
wow.
This is some of the things where people will back you. That's the whole thing. And you know what? You can have 10,000 people backing you, or you can have 10 true people backing you. And the 10 phony people or 10,000 phony people, I'll take the 10 real deals any day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, they're voting for my business. They put me into the top category in my area and my business. So I mean, hey, it's great. And I won the award last year as all this was going on with one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember taking the phone call, and they're like, "Oh, we watched your videos. Keep going. Don't stop. We're backing you." And they were like all excited about what I was doing, and they made sure to stay in contact. And then when I won this year, they're like, "Oh, that's great. We were hoping you would get it again." You know what I mean? So there's people there, and they're recognizing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are going to support you are going to be unbelievable.
And really, I mean, I can't remember who. I'm sure there were many people that spoke to this, but yeah, you don't need hundreds of thousands. You need like 100 let's say 100, right? It's really like if you have 100 loyal customers, word of mouth is just going to, like they're gonna be your biggest cheerleaders. So for all the businesses on the call that are worried about losing a small bit of their following on social media, trust me, you don't need all thousands and thousands of people, all of those thousands that you maybe had before. You just need like a smaller portion of them to really know who you are and to be aligned with who you are and what you're offering and what you stand for in general. And gosh, you won't have any issues getting customers moving forward because they're going to, any chance they get, they're going to refer people to you, I should say.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you get more, I'm finding sometimes you get more support from literally complete strangers than people in your own circle and family and friends, right? Like people are so willing to support someone, not just because of the work you do. Like Jamie, you do amazing work, but you probably gain that exposure from speaking up, right? People recognizing who you are and your morals and ethics kind of resonating with theirs. So speaking up is just, I can't express how important it is, and just aligning with your true self and your intuition and everything that you're kind of being projected to do makes a difference for sure.
Mm-hmm. I was just seeing in our little private chat here that Stephanie mentioned the Canadian flag. And my boyfriend, I don't have a car, but my boyfriend has a car, and we have Canada flags on the back of his car. And ever since the trucker convoy, people have been putting them on their car, and it's so powerful because like there's this camaraderie that's happening on the streets, right? Like every time we go by somebody with a flag on their car, we're giving the honks, we're giving the peace sign or like the peace sign and like thumbs up, whatever. And like I was in terms of just being that beacon. So like that's another way. So wearing merchandise with a powerful freedom type message on it, being willing to stand on a street corner or in a local park and just be, have a little info booth, informal. That's another way. And having a flag on your car, right? We need to find each other, right? Because I know we're not the small fringe minority, okay? With these extreme views that are not acceptable. No, we are the majority. I know that we're still, there's a lot that are still silent majority, I suppose. But so that's why we need to help them find us. So whether it's a Canadian flag on your car, a piece of clothing that shows what you're about, what you stand for, so that others can come to you and go, I believe that too. How do I get involved? Or joining us in more of a sort of structured way, where we build out these little local hubs across the country, so we can be that beacon. Anyway, I just wanted to fit that in before the end of the call, because it's a great idea. I'm loving seeing more and more Canadian flags on the cars for that reason, and also just because I think we really need to up our patriotism here, because if we want to preserve the Canada that we once knew, we need to do it now. We're in the 11th hour, like.
Exactly.
So let's remember who we are as Canadians, and let's show up for our country and for humanity as a whole in this world.
Yeah, and going off that Canadian flag is when you're driving, you're going anywhere, you see it on the car. Since the convoy, you automatically know the mind frame of whoever is in that vehicle at that moment. So it's literally like you're saying, it's a beacon, and it became a symbol and a beacon that you can literally walk over to that person if they're getting out of their vehicle and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Right, and that you're already in a conversation because you already know you're both like-minded.
Absolutely. So many conversations have come from just having a flag on the car, and you were talking about, Kim, you were talking about the protests and how have they been growing, and what do you think that's about? Well, it would be great to see beyond the protests, just to see the number of Canadian flags showing up, right? Like, we'll see that we're no longer the minority, or, by seeing how many Canadian flags are on these cars. And yeah, I think that it really is an opportunity. It's like an invitation to say hello. Really, we've been at a light, and people have rolled down their windows, and we've had a little conversation, and you can exchange resources. You can be like, "Hey, you know about this?" Like, like it's like a bat signal in a way. Like, we're like, this is guerrilla warfare, man. Especially with the big tech doing with all that they can to disempower us. No, well, we need to use every basic guerrilla warfare tactic we can, and that includes putting a Canadian flag on your car, or like I said. So anyway, I don't want to beat this to death, but it's really important.
Yeah.
So the small fringe minority with unacceptable views, that is Parliament, is it not?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
That's kind of ironic, the kettle calling the pot black.
Oh, for sure. It's all projection. Hey, it's all projection. Like,
that's amazing.
We're in an upside down world right now. So yeah. So
but I've explained to a lot of people, like, just when you start to do kind of the number crunch of how many people were on bridges, how many people were in Ottawa. OPP, RCMP said 2 to 2.3 million on the January 29th. So just on the first weekend. The first day, pretty much. And if you look at 20%, that's 11.5 million people across Canada are standing up. We're just not organized. So that's exactly the silent majority. The government didn't even get in with the 30% vote. So we're making huge traction, huge. And that's why they're nervous. As soon as the truckers stood up, they had to back off, because this became a global event. So it went everywhere, and it got out of their control. And that means that we got to keep the pressure on. So as they're lifting all of this stuff, we can't back off. We got to keep that pressure going. And that could be just, sharpening your knowledge, sharpening your skills, doing heavy research, bracing for the next things that come, and being able to handle yourself accordingly within those situations, and networking, pulling your community together. I highly encourage that everybody get into their communities, back into the community, back into sharing with your neighbors, knowing who your neighbors are, knowing the people around you, creating resources, learning programs, all kinds of different things, so that this way, no matter what situation happens, you have your neighbors to rely on, your community. You can support each other and be supported and support them, right? So this is a big part of it. I think this whole nonsense has helped us rediscover who we are as a species. We forgot family values, like our moral values, family values, and community values. And I see a lot of us turning back to those.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, this has got me so busy. I haven't been spending a lot of time with my family because I've been so busy. But all of my children and my family know what I'm doing, and none of them have said anything because they're aware. And after we get through this, I will have more than enough time for them, so that they know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's important, is to be able to share with your family what you're doing and why you're doing it and that kind of thing. And I know it's difficult for some because they don't have the grace of their family being understanding. Some of my family members aren't on board, and others are. Lose some friends along the way, but gained a lot of friends. Some of the people that we have in our community is absolutely incredible. I couldn't praise them enough. Very dedicated, solid individuals. So I'm grateful and blessed to be able to be walking this walk at this time, coordinating with others, and being a support and being supported.
Yeah. Yeah, don't go it alone. I mean, there's so much isolation they're trying to impose. And as human beings, we're not built for that. We're built for connection. And yeah, don't go it alone. There's so many groups. And if it's not We Are All Essential, or Hugs Over Mass, check out Freedom Rising. I'll double check this .com. I think it's .com, freedomrising.com, but it lists almost 200 initiatives across the country. Maybe there's something that you're a little more passionate about. Like, you'll find something, a group to get involved with. But yeah, don't go it alone. We need each other. And who knows what's coming down the pike. We're going to need local communities to lean on, like communities of people to lean on, in ways that we may not even envision just yet. So stay connected and stay involved for your own mental health, for the well-being of our country and humanity as a whole.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you. I'm just double checking. I think it's Freedom Rising. It must be, Freedom Rising. Oh gosh, I think it's .ca. freedomrising.ca. But yeah, it's a great initiative because it's bringing all the independent initiatives together, and we meet every Friday on a Zoom. And Freedom Rising. Oh, sorry, I'm wrong again. freedomrising.info. Steph, can you put that in a banner? Because I messed it up a few times. freedomrising.info. It's great. Yeah, it really is helping to coordinate the different groups so we can take mass coordinated action.
Yeah.
Right. And
this is the last. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And just leveraging like our audiences, right? Because it's like, let's say we have a following of a couple, let's say a few, but we might have 20,000, let's say, between the different platforms for We Are All Essential. And then like VCC, Vaccine Choice Canada, they have, probably hundreds of thousands, but if we put those all together and we send out a unified message, right? And we've actually got a new system that's being developed where we can actually send out text blasts or email blasts with, we need support here, or this is the action, like taking coordinated action and having coordinated messages to overcome all of the, coordinated propaganda that we're up against.
Yeah, what I was going to say is this is the last thing that they want. We're seeing the numbers that are behind us, and the last thing they want is us organizing and coordinating, because they already know we outnumber them. And as soon as we start doing that, is game over, right? So the better we get coordinated and on target and on point, is way better. I've been explaining to some of the groups that I'm involved in, because it seems that everyone has the best way and everyone else is wrong. Sometimes we're hearing that amongst our community. My way is the only way and your way is wrong. So what I like to describe it as is if you're in war and you have the front line running out, right? You'll have one of the units in the front line will be taking out the communication tower. One will be going for the ammunition. One will be going directly to the trenches. One will be going to rescue any prisoners. One will be going over. They all have the same goal. Who cares what they're doing? Just stay in your lane, do what you're doing, allow them to do what they're doing. we're all going for the same goal. So just kind of,
Yeah, and we have to approach it from all angles. Like it's actually critical that we do that. So, and to be independent groups is actually really important too, because if they take one group down, whether it just be taking down their website or like we have, so it is important that in general that we stay away from this whole centralized business, right? But coordinated is different. Coordination and centralization are totally different. Yeah.
And that's exactly it. So another way I describe it is as long as people are standing up and, if you're in battle, whether they choose a crossbow, a broadsword, a mace, it doesn't matter. They're still pushing back. Who cares what weapon of choice they have in their pushback? Support them. Right. And that's what we need to do. United non-compliant. It doesn't mean we all have to do the same chore. It just means that we have to be supportive of each other. And that's it.
Yeah. And where there are opportunities for collaboration, to not let our egos get in the way. Let's just work together.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And being aware of the effort that they're putting out there to divide us all, right? Like just be the observer at all. It's so stinking obvious if they're not trying to divide us by, through racism, sexism, the newest propaganda campaign. So don't over-identify with where you follow and go. Just do what resonates with you and step up and make a difference.
Awesome.
Well said.
So what I would like to tell everyone that's viewing, whether you're viewing live or you're watching the replay, like our video, like our podcast, subscribe to it and share it. Let's keep getting this message out there as far as we can get it going. Also, those that are in business, you can join We Are All Essential. That's WeAreAllEssential.ca. You can come on board as a business. You can stay in the background. You can keep it private. You don't have to go public that you're involved. You can go through, be educated. There's a lot of training videos, a lot of information that you can sort through to really get to know your rights. And then you can take your stand after that when you're comfortable. We have regular Zoom calls once a week. We also have a Telegram chat where a bunch of businesses are in there. So we have direct support. We also have an SOS chat. So if you're running into any issues, there's always somebody there to kind of help coach you through it. Also, if you want to do more and this is resonating with you, become a volunteer with We Are All Essential. The more shoulders, the better. We can get a lot more work done, a lot more efficient, and really start to push towards our goalposts. Right. So that's WeAreEssential.ca, and we look forward to seeing you join us in this fight that we're all in. So that's
absolutely
great.
And like I mentioned, just one final word from me. We just put up a basic website last week for makecanadafreeagain.ca. This will be built out a lot more with some very cool, innovative sort of tools to really create a change within our country. This will be a social change platform on lots of different levels. So it is early days, but please do check it out, makecanadafreeagain.ca. That's where it's the umbrella sort of for about 5 different initiatives so far. So some of which haven't been fully built out, but they're very cool. So more to come. In fact, I'd love to come back on the podcast again, just to chat about some of the specific initiatives, especially when we're ready to really receive people. We're going to be looking for some stories from others who are free. We're all free, but who know that they're free Canadians, and we want to hear your stories. We want to really share, because all of our stories are so important. And I was at the rally on the weekend, and this one woman, she had 2 shots, and then she woke up and is like so well informed now. And I said, please keep sharing your story, because there are so many people who regret having done what they did, but they're ashamed to admit it. They have, there's a lot of fear. So the more that people, we've all made mistakes. We've all been duped. We've all, at different times in our lives, whatever. But those that can own, those sort of those mistakes on whatever level, and then share that story, you have no idea how much that has the ability to affect others in a positive way. So whatever your story is, please share it. Whatever your story has been these last couple of years, please do share that, because there are going to be a lot of people who do relate and will be inspired to maybe share their story because you did. So, let's go back to the old school ways, right? Sharing our story, storytelling is important. Yeah, and connecting on that level.
Well, we'd love to have you and Vlad both back on.
Yeah.
Thank you for pivoting with us and going with this on the fly. We love having you for sure.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you keeping this incredible podcast going, for all the work that you put into this. It's such a great show, and it's so important that we have alternative sources of not just information, but just of stories of important actions that have been happening. And so it's such a great podcast. Thank you both very much. And Steph behind the scenes, who you can't see everyone. Thank you, Steph, for all of your hard work on this incredible podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to us, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe, join, share, like, you know the deal. See you next week.